Okay, that was a weird one. Because, this episode behaved in a way that I totally did not expect it to, because, well, the eventual boot, it happened just a little too easy from what, I thought it was going to be, and then the way, alliance dynamics have I'm feeling uneasy, not because, it's something that I'm against, but just because it feels like a lot happened. Even though, like, with the double bill that we got last week, of course there was a lot of potential for things to be shifted up, but it happened in a way that I totally didn't expect it to, so. I don't know, I'm just feeling way off about this. Odd, isn't it? Okay, so. Going into it, everyone gets back after Fishback was blindsided, and then Spencer, of course, goes over to Jeremy and tries to do damage control. And it's natural for Jeremy, to feel a little uneasy about Spencer, and even I don't entirely, buy his reasoning, although I do buy the fact that he can't suddenly be the person making decision maker after decision maker, because, that just makes it too easy for everyone else, and he hasn't been doing that great at immunities this season, though he's trying to, yeah, but Keith and Joe just keep doing amazing at all these challenges. And then Tasha, you remember how after Wigglesworth was blindsided, and she, was going over to Jeremy and so coming out of the loop once, okay, fine, you've explained your reason, but do it again, I'm not going to be happy. Well, she all of a sudden just seems to forgive Spencer? What's up with this? What happened to the, self-assertive Tasha that we had back at Angkor, Just what happened to that? Because, Jeff Varner was dropping hints that Tasha was doing a couple of things behind the scenes, being very assertive, but now we're not really seeing that because Tasha too easily, submitted to being on Jeremy's side, even though she did have some reason for it, because Steven had the advantage, and then she too easily forgives Spencer. Just what's up with that? And then, Spencer, this episode, he just way too quickly ends up either jumping back to Jeremy or realizes that it's his only option. Just, huh? And then when did Kimmy suddenly decide to start doing the All Women's Alliance when Monica was pitching that to her, and that was one of the reasons she turned on Monica? Just, what's going on in these people's minds? I mean, okay, Spencer, okay, there is a little bit of credence to this because Joe is a threat at the end. Even though our last episode made me realize that, if he makes it, he might not be an absolute lock. I think the odds would have definitely been in his favor had he made it, but he also stated last week, I need to really work on the social game some more, and even though he was behaving differently, which was exactly what I wanted him to do, the fact that he never went to tribal and then kept winning immunity after immunity after immunity just really cut down his opportunities to really, learn from his mistakes. Which is a bummer. Now, I'm not trying to say that this is all bad, but I just felt odd with this episode. I mean, sure, I have been somewhat complaining about, not people getting full justified airtime and all that stuff, but as I said just a couple minutes ago, it felt like a lot had suddenly shifted in a way that I didn't expect it to. So I don't know, maybe this episode hit me out of left field, or I've had so much going on in my life recently that I just forgot about how things shifted with this show. I honestly don't know. Or maybe it was both of them. Or maybe I'm just an idiot. Joke. Right. Okay, so, now that my bit of confusion for pretty much everybody is out of the way, that loved one visit, Finally, we get a good loved ones visit, because, I gotta be honest, I haven't been satisfied with a loved ones visit on this show since One World, to be honest, because, okay, Philippines was mostly good, but then Lisa's actions just kind of hurt the episode somewhat. In Caramon, that was the worst loved ones visit we've ever seen. Like, I wanted that thing over really quickly. Blood vs. Water, obviously they didn't have loved ones, and then Kagayan and Worlds Apart, they rushed it by having it in the finale, so finally we get it properly done. Thank you! Because, you know, I felt for just about everybody there, especially with the hints that Jeff and everyone dropped that they've been having issues with all kinds of stuff on the emotional scale, so that was real nice to see. That challenge, I had beginning to think that it would be either Joe or Kelly Wentworth winning it, so I was like, oh yeah, I got it right, got out of the blue. So, good job on Kelly Wentworth. And then the choices that she made, well, she seemed to do it all over the place for various reasons, because Kimmy, she does it because of her connection to her loved one, Joe to build trust with him and that such, Abby paying a friend's debt, and then Keith. Keith could be any reason, to be honest, but the thing is, everybody that she took were the people that, you know, she had been conversing with last time, because they were mainly the people, you know, that were responsible for Steven going, so that does kind of stick out like a sore thumb, even though for a long while now everybody has, well, not everybody, over half of the people were, you know, against Joe, so there was still that option to fall back upon. I'll give her that, yeah. But the thing that was weird was that we didn't actually get any talk with the people at the reward, it seemed. I think there was a tiny bit of it, but it was more about the three people back at camp deciding that they, you know, probably should stick together and do something. But the thing that's very odd about this Jeremy, Tasha, Spencer dynamic is not because of what I was discussing a few minutes ago. It's because while I do feel like this is their best route to get to the end, you know, having to help out somebody else who's like me in terms of the social dynamic and all that stuff, it presents a much tougher case for them, you know, to get the jury when they're at the end, because Spencer, he's been kind of alluding to this for a long while now, but it goes to go to what I said in some combination of Spencer, Jeremy, or Steven, where their main way to get to the end is actually helping each other out, despite the fact that it may not entirely be what they want to see happen, even though Spencer's remarks this episode have kind of made me realize that he is a little bit of a younger Jonathan Penner, because, okay, here's the thing about these two, okay, both of them are definitely huge fans of the show, have learned from their mistakes, well, you argue that they haven't, but I feel like they have somewhat, and they're very good at pleading their cases socially and swaying people. But the thing is, even though, despite all those pros that I've just given them, okay, they talk a better game than they actually do it. Like, even I think Penner alluded to this a little bit, because you know how Penner was kind of alluding to at some point in Philippines, well, he's like, you know, we can't really make moves too quickly here, but then when he gets a good possibility to advance to like top 4, top 3 at least, so he goes, nah, we don't need to really worry about that. And then Spencer, he keeps saying that, you know, either that I need to make the move, or, you know, I'm feeling really uneasy about these people, but then he does something later that kind of contradicts it, even though, given how fast social dynamics develop both on this game, and especially this season, there is some reason for it. And then, as Wu pointed out, some of what he said in terms of describing the goat bringing, or the dog bringing the master, can be seen as contradictory. Okay, so what I'm just trying to get at here is that I'm a Spencer fan and all that stuff, and I am rooting for him to some degree. Well, almost everybody to some degree here, but he's not perfect, okay? And I definitely do feel like he talks about a game that he actually does, but you can argue that for most people, heck, I could label myself as a reality show nut here and yet find tons of people who are definitely more educated than me because, well, I can't name really anyone else who makes episode by episode recaps of this show, or maybe that could be because I never looked at my related videos, but I am by no means, an expert. I'm just issuing my thoughts here, because like the Big Brother reviews, I was a newbie when I started them, venturing out into the waters, that kind of stuff. Okay, let's get back to the actual episode. Sorry about that tangent. Ooh, right. Yeah. So that was definitely a bit of a weird moment with those guys, right. It's going to be interesting to see where they go, especially with Tasha being kind of unwavering. Because sure, she spilled the beans about the Women's Alliance, but the thing was, Jeremy and Spencer just did not react to it in a good way. Now, I did have an idea of how they should react, but I just can't articulate it, because the thing was, it's not that they didn't act nervous, even though I'm sure that they are nervous, it's just... I think that they honestly should have questioned Tasha maybe a little bit more? Starting to gain a little less faith in them, and more in Kelly Wentworth, because I'm somebody who rarely ever talks about, winner's edit or winner's vibe, but lately, yeah, Kelly Wentworth, she's looking better and better. Goes to show, maybe my putting her as one of my top picks wasn't entirely, crazy. Oh, wait, that was Kimmy I meant. Whoops, sorry. Right. So that immunity challenge, well, I don't totally mind that they did, the one for each gender this time, because it looks like this is going to be a little bit of a trend, but as Dr. Ross points out, the gender inequality thingy could be a little bit of an issue. Kelly Wentworth winning, not a big deal. I think most people would have probably picked her to win anyway. Between the guys, it didn't totally surprise me that it came down to Joe and Keith, but also, with last week, they alluded to that somebody was going to get hurt during a challenge, and given the clues that they dropped off, even though you had to look hard for them, I think most of us did limit it down to these two anyway. And that was actually an intense challenge, because even though I haven't seen Samoa, I did see this challenge when they did it there, and oh man, I was nervous, even though I actually knew the outcome, right, but... yeah, that was intense, and then Joe just drops. Like, I did not see that coming. I was like, holy crap, did he just pass out? I mean, like, I got the idea that he would be okay, because the moment he woke up and then responded to Jeff, like, yeah, hey Jeff, I knew that he was fine, but... yeah, I did actually think that, we might have a Russell Swan incident, and I did not want to see that. So everyone goes back to camp, and then it looks like for real this time they're going to get rid of Joe, even though I'm beginning to think, as I alluded to, that what? Maybe it's not as bad if he stays now, I don't know. And then they actually do bring up an interesting argument about somebody in Abby's position that hasn't really been brought up before, because why wasn't anyone arguing this for, like, examples? Sherry and Caramone, possibly Wu and Kagayan, I find one other. One of the girls from One World, yeah, but I'm just surprised that, I haven't ever thought about it from the other side of the coin before. Although maybe it's just because it's Abby we're talking about here. I don't know. So then the big question ended up coming down to, what do Spencer or Jeremy think is the best move for them? And then Spencer's going, I hope that this isn't a $1 million decision I'm making here. Honestly, dude, I think actually the decision to vote out Steven over Joe will be more of a $1 million issue if it ends up being the case that a decision that you made ends up costing you against Kelly Wentworth, because let's face it, she is your main opposition at this point, because as I stated, I really do feel like Spencer and Jeremy are actually pretty close. Even though Jeremy's never had his name written down. Yeah, but in the end, everybody minus Keith, stupid Keith, decides to vote out Joe, and, well, I was happy about it. I didn't do the yeah moment like I did last time. This time I go, oh, yeah, he's gone. Yeah, like, yeah, I have wanted him gone for a few episodes now, but you know, given how much the episode and season have shifted, I gotta be honest, I didn't get too much of a thrill from it. Possibly because, as Joe admitted, the strategy talk he's not that great on, and I agree, because, like, I have never ever disliked Joe, but I have never really ever rooted for him, which I find a tad bit unfortunate. Now, he was doing what I wanted him to do and behave differently this episode. I like that, but I guess the fan hype just got to me, and let's resolve this. Who is he more like? Malcolm or Ozzy? Ozzy, because he does seem to be able to do better at the physical stuff than the social side, and also his second appearance on the show, or future appearances on the show, were better than his initial one, because even though I did see South Pacific before I could really understand Cook Islands, even though I did see Cook Islands when it first aired, I did feel like Ozzy was better there, from what I remember, than he was in Cook Islands when I rewatched it. Right. And it's the exact opposite of Malcolm, because Malcolm was good the first time, his second time he wasn't. Plus, he's much better on the social gameplay anyway. So there you are. But remember, I don't dislike Joe, I just have never rooted for him, or been able to. I gave him tons of chances. Nothing ever came of it. Right. And then as for next week, well, the big question is Jeremy or Spencer in trouble? What is Tasha going to do? And is Kimmy going to be a wild card again? I don't know. Well, of course, there's the big decision of what Kelly Wentworth is going to do, but she's already made that pretty clear. She's going to go after Spencer or Jeremy. The question is who, unless Keith loses immunity and everyone decides to gain up on him, which would be nice. Oh yeah, and producers, you still gotta get rid of the spare person. Please don't tell me you're going to do a Final Four. Come on, that is just gonna be ridiculous if you decide to do that, because you originally went from Final 2 to Final 3 specifically to avoid, you know, having to run into goats. Well, if you do 4, you got goats galore, pretty much, even though honestly there's just 2 people that are absolutely crap, even though, people argue that Kimmy hasn't really been doing that much for herself, even though she has been getting a little more airtime, but it's not the right kind of airtime. Because Tasha, she's getting the right airtime, but it's not enough, and it's a little bit contradictory, as I mentioned earlier. Well, this video was a bit of a jumbled mess, but I hope you enjoyed it.